This happened quite recently, about 3 years ago. I then lived with my parents in a 3-room apartment. My dog was constantly looking at something, as if he saw something that we didn't see. She barked at something in the doorway and growled. After some time, I spent the night at home alone. I watched a movie and went to bed. Before I had time to turn off the lights everywhere and settle down under the blanket, someone knocked on the bathroom door 3 times. Probably anyone knows exactly what knocking on every door in their apartment sounds like. I fell silent. There was deathly silence. I began to reassure myself that it was just my imagination, but then there were 3 more knocks on the front door. I jumped out of bed, took the phone, called my boyfriend and began to explain to him what happened. He told me not to panic and calm down. He reminded me that I had definitely locked the door when he left me that evening. He advised me to go and look through the peephole. I did just that. I walked along the corridor to the front door, simultaneously turning on the lights everywhere. When I approached the door, the lights in the entire apartment went out. I was simply dumbfounded from shock. Through the peephole, it was clear that there was a light on the lower floor. I started crying into the phone and begging the guy to come to me. He said that he was already leaving, but before he could finish the last sentence, my phone went off. There was no way it could discharge because it had been charging all day. I pulled myself together and with a decisive step went to the pantry for candles. She lit a candle, took it in her hand, and went to her room and began to pray that everything would stop. And then I heard footsteps in the apartment right down the corridor, slow at first. And then someone seemed to run into my room and stop next to me. And then I just started gagging out of fear. I ran to the toilet and vomited. Then I heard a call. Before I had time to run to the door, suddenly there was a strong knocking on the entrance door again. I froze, but then I heard my boyfriend's voice outside the door. Sighing with relief, I opened the door. At the same moment, the lights in the entire apartment turned on, and I heard the beep of a telephone turning on in the room. The guy also saw the lights turn on throughout the apartment and looked at my face, pale as whitewash. We sat in the kitchen all night. After this incident, everyone in the family began to constantly hear someone walking around the apartment. Dishes were breaking, wires were flying through the air on their own. Relationships in the family became tense. We were always arguing. Soon we decided to move out of this apartment. They sold it and new tenants moved there. Literally a month later, the residents called us early in the morning and mockingly asked if we had noticed anything unusual in the apartment. We answered in the negative with a shudder, and they told us that at night they heard the screaming and crying of their infant daughter. They ran into the room, and there the child was hanging in the air, as if someone invisible was holding her by the throat. When the adults entered, the hand suddenly released the grip, and the girl fell to the floor and suffered a concussion. What it was and how these people are now, I don't know. But I am very glad that we left this apartment on time.